This is a quiz to find out if you'd survive a zombie apocalypse. Not movie logic, not gamer instincts, actual survival decision making pulled from disaster studies, urban collapse scenarios, and real world psychology. It's 28 questions long. Some of the questions are easy, most of them are not. For each of the questions, you get 4 options to pick from, and I'll tell you the right answer and explain why the others most likely will get you killed. As we go through the quiz, you should keep track of your score. You get 1 point per correct answer. And at the end, I'll tell you whether or not you'll last. So before we begin, I'm going to give you some context as to this world and also the scenario so that you can make informed choices. So this quiz, right, this scenario, it uses classic slow-moving zombies. So like classic infection type zombies with moderate hearing and smell. They have poor eyesight, especially in low lighting. These zombies will notice if you're loud, if you're fast, or if you're bleeding. In terms of how to defeat them, the zombies don't feel pain. They don't bleed out. The only tried and tested way to destroy them is by destroying the brain. And they don't stop unless you hit a central nervous system, so when you're picking weapons, that's what you're aiming for. In terms of how the virus spreads, or how people turn, the virus spreads fast. People say it's from bites, maybe blood. It's not airborne as far as we know, but if someone gets it, they turn fast. To give you some context of you live in an urban area with 2 other people, so it's like a medium-sized city, pretty densely populated area with like the infrastructure of what you get in an urban area. So public transport, accessible supermarkets, roads, etc. I hope you took some notes or you remembered those facts because they may or may not be relevant in deciding what you'll do. So again, I'll set out each question in turn and then the options, and I'll give you a couple of seconds to pick your answer. I'll tell you the right answer after each question and give you an explanation as to why that's the right answer. Feel free, obviously, to pause the video to take more time if you need it, and most importantly, keep track of how many answers you get right or wrong for your final score at the end. And without further ado, let's begin. So you've just confirmed it, it's a zombie outbreak. You live in the 2nd floor apartment in a medium-sized city, and it's the first 10 minutes. What do you do? Option A, leave immediately by car and head towards the countryside. Option B, grab a backpack and head on foot to the nearest supermarket. Option C, wait a bit, gather information, and then leave before nightfall. Or option D, stay put and begin fortifying your home. So the correct answer is option D, stay put and begin fortifying your home. So the reason that this is the right answer is because leaving in the first wave is often one of the riskiest things that you can do. During the first wave of an outbreak, infrastructure breaks down basically instantly. The roads are full of accidents and abandoned cars, emergency services are overwhelmed or completely gone, and if you're in a vehicle, you're likely going to get stuck. And if you're on foot, you're probably going to be exposed. Another reason to stay put is because you have more control at home. You know your layout, your entry points, and what you have at home. You're able to block doors, ration supplies, and also reduce noise. All in all, staying put has fewer variables and more you can control, and there's also just less visibility to the outside world and its threats. Public spaces during this time are basically chaos zones because supermarkets and gas stations are early hotspots for violence, looting, infection spread. The majority of people that die early in disaster events do so because they go out thinking that they can grab more supplies. Another reason to stay is because waiting often gives you more information. In the next 12 to 48 hours, you'll learn what's happening, where to go or avoid, and whether there's an organized response. And so people who leave immediately often walk into blind danger. The only exceptions where leaving might be the right choice is if your building is actually compromised, like if there's an infected person inside and there's no way to secure it, or if you have a clear escape plan with pre-packaged supplies and like a safe destination, or if you live somewhere that's completely indefensible. So for example, there's a glass storefront, or you're on the ground floor, or if there's wide entry points. But other than that, the safest thing to do is to stay and fortify and wait. So you've decided to stay put and ride out the first wave in your apartment. You've locked the doors, you've pulled the curtains, and you've confirmed it's a real outbreak. What's the smartest next move? Option A, start moving heavy furniture to block entry points. Option B, fill bathtubs, sinks, and pots with clean water. Option C, inventory your kitchen and make a ration plan. Or option D, turn on the news and call your loved ones for updates. The correct answer is option B, fill all possible containers with clean water. So the reason this is the right answer is because in disaster scenarios, especially when infrastructure is unstable, water is often one of the first systems to fail. City water might stop flowing or become contaminated within hours of an outbreak. And since you're at home and you have a bathtub, bathtubs can act as large reservoirs for washing or flushing, and pots, bottles, and kettles are drinking water reserves. Because the power might cut out at any time, this is definitely the most important thing to do, and you should fill any container while the water pressure is still on. So why are the other options not correct? So option A, if you barricade, this is important, but time-sensitive utilities come first. For option C, ration planning, again, this is smart, but no food is a problem in 3 days, while no water is a problem in the first day. And option D, turning on the news and calling your loved ones, that sounds useful, but communication noise risks attention, and you can also gather that information after securing the basics. Okay, so it's 15 minutes in, containers are full, the pressure is dropping, the power is still on, but it could cut out at any moment. What's the smartest next move? Option A, inventory food in order of perishability and set ration sizes. Option B, stand on the balcony to gauge how many people are on the street. Option C, drag a bookcase against your front door for extra bracing. Or option D, write a visible note on your front door saying, alive inside, uninfected, in case help comes. So the correct answer here is option A, inventory and ration food. So the reason that this is important is because a calorie plan prevents panic eating and also using fridge power while you still have fridge power. Option B is incorrect because this makes you a visible target. Your silhouette against the sky is bait for both infected people and opportunistic survivors, and it's not worth the risk this early. Option C, bracing the door, is not wrong, but it's slightly premature. You're still going to want flexibility to move between the rooms and also possibly scavenge from your neighbors or adjust sound or light control. And option D, the front door note, this might emotionally feel smart, but ultimately it's a liability. This is because it draws attention to your apartment, and it also gives away the fact that someone is alive inside and likely with resources. It also just increases your risk of being targeted by desperate people, and there's no guarantee who reads this note. So you're an hour into the outbreak, the supplies are counted, you shared the space with your 2 flatmates. What's the next priority? Option A, establish a silent alert or knock code for movement inside the flat. Option B, cook a large hot meal before the gas or electricity dies. Option C, assign one person to sit by the peephole and watch the hallway. Or option D, start binge charging every device you own. So the correct option is option A, to have a silent alert system. So the reason this is the right answer is because having discipline in how you communicate can stop accidental shouting, accidental noise, and door opens later. Hot food and device charging matters, but all of these other things can wait until rules against loud mistakes, which are potentially fatal mistakes, are put in place. Okay, so you're now 2 hours into the outbreak. Communications are set and it's still quiet outside. What do you do next? Option A, pick one windowless interior room as the fallback or the sleep space. Option B, clear the hallway outside your unit of any loose objects. Option C, start boiling tap water to sterilize it while power remains. Or option D, spread your stored water containers across different rooms in case of a breach. So the correct option here is option A, designate a fallback room. So the reason this is the right answer is because if the outer flat is breached, you need a last line of defense already chosen. So this is about prioritizing worst case preparedness before it's too late. By the 2 hour mark, we're assuming you've already secured water, you've already locked down and you've gone dark, and also the initial chaos has passed, but stability is still fragile. So option B, clearing the hallway of loose objects, is a good idea, but it's not really worth the risk of sound unless there's an active threat outside. Option C, boiling the water, sounds smart, but you've already filled containers at this point, and the tap water is still running, so it's not yet unsafe. The power right now might stay on for hours, or it might just cut suddenly, but even then, you can boil the water from the fallback room later. Boiling it right now just creates unnecessary heat, noise, and smell, which are all signals that you want to prevent early on. And finally, D, spreading the water containers around the room. This is like a good idea, but it's minor optimization. Obviously, if you're breached, you don't want all of your water in one place, but again, if you're breached that badly, the whole flat is essentially compromised. And the fallback room should already have its own mini storage. Okay, so you've made it to the end of day 1. The barricades, water, food, signals, safe room, and hygiene are all handled. What should you do to finish the day? Option 1, stay awake all night in rotating 2-hour guard shifts. Option B, start a small cooking fire on the balcony to reduce indoor smells. Option C, signal from a window in Morse code that survivors are inside. Or option D, mentally map a 10 to 14 day isolation timeline and nightly routine. So the correct answer here is option D, build the timeline. So the reason that this is the right answer is because this sets psychological expectations and also ration discipline. Setting fires, making signals, or having exhausting all-night watches just create risk without adding any immediate survival value. So it's now been 48 hours since the beginning of the outbreak. You've not heard any sirens, no screams, no gunfire, just silence. You crack a window and you listen, and movement sounds faint and far away. What do you do now? Option A, slide open the window a few more inches for ventilation because the air inside is stale. Option B, scan the street from behind the curtain for movement or patterns. Option C, step briefly onto your balcony and confirm how many bodies you can see below. Or option D, knock on the ceiling to check if the neighbors upstairs are still alive. So the correct answer here is option B, scan the street discreetly. So the reason that this is correct is because in the 48-hour period, this phase is about information without exposure. If you're looking quietly through a covered window, this can give you insight into movement without sound or silhouette. Opening a window or stepping outside creates unnecessary noise and profile. And knocking is an even worse idea because you don't know who's alive or what they'd do if they heard you. You suspect that the apartment across the hall is abandoned. The door is cracked. What do you do? Option A, enter quietly and search it for supplies. Option B, close and secure the door from the outside to prevent risk later. Option C, leave it untouched. Or option D, knock once, wait, and then cautiously enter with your knife drawn. So the correct answer here is option A, enter quietly and search. So the reason this is the right answer is because at this point, controlled scavenging is strategic. If a room is clearly empty, it's better that you take its resources before someone clearly more desperate does. Avoiding all unknowns also isn't sustainable long term. Don't knock, don't announce, don't waste the opportunity. At night, you hear footsteps and whispering outside your apartment door. It's clearly human. What do you do? Option A, stay completely silent. Don't move, don't make noise. Option B, whisper to your group to grab weapons in case they come in. Option C, make a deliberate sound to show that you're at home and you're not worth breaking in. Or option D, wait for them to move on and then open the door quietly to check. So the correct answer here is option A, stay silent. So the reason that this is the right answer is because this isn't the time to act. Silence is your defense. If they're looters, they'll avoid resistance, and if they're panicking, noise can make them choose your door. If they're infected, sound draws them. You only move if they try to enter, and even then, you don't speak. Your flatmate whispers too loudly during a routine water check, and you hear a muffled groan from somewhere in the hallway a few minutes later. What do? Option A, take a position at the door with a weapon in case someone comes through. Option B, quietly relocate everyone to your fallback room and lock the door. Option C, tell them to stay put and go investigate alone while it's quiet. Or option D, whisper sharply at them, telling them to shut up and listen. So the correct answer is option B, relocate to the fallout room. So the reason this is the right answer is because containment is the protocol here. Fallback spaces exist for this reason. You don't split up, you don't go hunting, and you don't escalate anything. This is defensive discipline. Move to the stronghold and listen. If nothing happens, then you wait. And if something breaches, you're ready. You overhear a broadcast on a still working radio. Evacuation might be happening 6 miles away at an old stadium, but you don't have any further details and there's also no schedule. What do? Option A, immediately pack and leave while the streets are quiet. Option B, wait 24 hours to gather more information or listen for updates. Option C, prepare a bag and scout the route before committing. Or option D, ignore it. So the correct answer here is option C, which is prepare to move, but don't move just yet. So the reason this is the right answer is because if you leave now, you risk walking into chaos or nothing at all. But ignoring it completely is also a gamble. The right call here is controlled contingency. You should prep a bag, watch for signals, and then assess the route. Okay, so you've gathered your bag, and now you have to choose one weapon to take when fleeing the apartment. What's the smartest grab? Option A is a long crowbar. Option B, a short machete. Option C is a steel baseball bat. Or option D, a cordless drill. So the correct answer here is option A, the long crowbar. So the reason this is the right answer is because this is the weapon that you're gonna grab before leaving your apartment. So the weapon choice here needs to factor in, number 1, how lethal it is against zombies, especially skull trauma. Number 2, utility in the field, so how it works against doors, fences, or breaking into places. Number 3, durability and portability. You want a weapon that won't break and it won't slow you down. And number 4, ease of use under stress, so no skill or precision needed. The reason the crowbar is the best choice is because it delivers focused and dense impact, which is ideal for cracking skulls. It also functions as a multi-tool, so it can open doors, pry fences, break windows. There's no edge to maintain, there's no power required, and it's nearly indestructible. And basically, it works in both combat and escape. All in all, it's the most versatile survival tool that you can carry. The machete was a viable option, but it's risky. It's good in the sense that it's fast and it's light, and it's good for clearing brush or like cutting rope, but it's not really designed for hard impact because it can slice through soft tissue, but it might get stuck in bone. And remember from the beginning of this video, I told you that in order to defeat a zombie, you have to aim for its brain. And in order to get to the brain, you have to go through the skull. And a machete can get stuck in a skull or in the bone of its neck if you're trying to cut its head off. The baseball bat also looks like it could be a really good idea, but it's probably going to perform poorly. The reason for this is because it's unnecessarily heavy, it's tiring to swing, and also there's no extra function besides the intimidation. Bats also often glance off of bone, so it's actually not great for cracking skulls, especially if you're swinging at a bad angle. And the cordless drill is wrong because this might sound like a really good idea, but drills are not going to be lethal unless it's precisely placed. It's also going to require 2 hands, close contact, and also, most importantly, electricity and battery power. And once it's dead, it's useless, and there's no extra utility or intimidation value to it. You now go into your kitchen for a secondary weapon. Which of these gives you the best chance of stopping a zombie in close combat? Option A, a chef's knife. Option B, a wooden rolling pin. Option C, a butcher's cleaver. Or option D, a screwdriver. So the correct answer here is option C, a butcher's cleaver. So the reason this is the right answer is because a cleaver has the mass and blade thickness to damage a skull with short range strikes. The chef's knife is most likely going to be too thin and it risks snapping or getting stuck. And the rolling pin, it feels like a bat, but it's probably too light to do real damage, and as I said with the bat, most likely it'll bounce or glance off bone. The screwdriver here could be good because it could puncture, but it'll probably only go through soft points and you need perfect aim under pressure. Therefore, it's not the best option. So you've packed our small bag, and a local broadcast says that evacuation teams are moving towards a nearby stadium within the next 48 hours. What time of day do you plan to move? Option A, leave just before dawn. Option B, leave in the middle of the day. Option C, leave after dark. Or option D, leave right away. So the correct answer here is option A, leave just before dawn. So the reason this is the right answer is because leaving right before sunrise gives you both enough light to navigate without drawing too much attention, while most threats, either human or zombie, are less alert. Night travel is not a good idea because it increases the risk of tripping, noise, or panic, and broad daylight also makes you way too visible. So you've exited your apartment and you're making your way towards the stadium. Before seeing any zombies, you spot a group of 3 scavengers near a parked car. One is searching the trunk, another is standing lookout, and the third is carrying a pipe. They haven't noticed you yet. What do you do? Option A, approach calmly and ask if they've seen safe zones. Option B, stay low and observe from a distance before deciding. Option C, circle wide and avoid contact entirely. Or option D, follow them quietly to see where they're heading. So the correct answer here is option C, avoid contact entirely. So the reason this is the right answer is because a wide detour keeps your location, your supplies, and your intentions secret. Early survival states that stealth is more important than alliance building. Option A, approaching calmly, is not the right answer because in early outbreaks, strangers are often scared and hyper-reactive. There's also no trust networks established yet, so it's more likely that they'll escalate or become violent or betray you. Option B, watching from a distance, gives you intel, but it burns time and it also risks you being spotted if they sweep their surroundings. And if they see you first, you lose initiative. Option D, following them, is also not the best answer because stalking unknown people is risky and you could walk into their base or another group. There's no true incentive to doing this early on, and if you're caught, you're seen as a threat or a potential ambusher. So on your route, you end up crossing rooftops using ladders and fire escapes. On the next rooftop, you see a zombie standing on the far ledge. It's facing away and it hasn't noticed you yet. You need to cross that roof to reach the ladder. What do? Option A, move slowly across the rooftop, hugging the wall and staying silent. Option B, throw a bottle into the street below and lure it off the edge. Option C, try and sneak up and attack it with your crowbar. Or option D, wait for it to wander off before attempting the crossing. So the correct answer here is option A, move silently across. So the reason this is the right answer is because at this point, the zombie hasn't seen you yet. You're not blocked and you don't need to engage. Stealth here minimizes all risk. Option B, throwing a bottle, could work if you were on the ground, but since you're on a rooftop, sound travels unpredictably and also it could just alert more zombies below. Sneaking up to attack it is also not necessary since it hasn't noticed you yet, and it also puts you in close quarters with no backup plan. Option D is potentially a good idea, but waiting could take forever and it wastes daylight while giving up control. You're cutting through a narrow alley and about 30 feet ahead, you see a zombie. It hasn't noticed you yet, but it's directly between you and the exit. There's an open side door to your left, a dumpster you could climb, and also a loose pipe on the ground nearby. What do? Option A, pick up the pipe and confront it before it gets closer. Option B, go into the side door and barricade it behind you to wait for a better moment. Option C, climb the dumpster, toss a small object away, and misdirect the zombie away from the exit. Or option D, dash past the zombie now while there's still distance. So the correct answer here is option C, use elevation and misdirection. So the reason this is the right answer is because it has the best combination of both control of the situation and also momentum. Here, you're staying away from the action and you preserve your forward route, but you also don't trigger aggression. And you might be wondering now why a sound distraction is the correct answer in the alleyway, while on the previous rooftop question I said that sound is unpredictable. This is because in the alleyway, you're in a contained space. So there's tight walls and there's short distance, and you can also see the zombie and it hasn't seen you yet. So here you're actually able to direct noise without just hoping that the zombie will react like in the previous question. And you have immediate visual feedback on how the zombie responds. And most importantly, you have escape options such as a dumpster, side door, or a fallback path. Essentially, sound is a good tool here because it's in a space that's controlled, tight, and you can control. Sound is dangerous on a rooftop in the previous question because that's a high exposure space because rooftops offer no cover. You can't see what's in surrounding buildings or below you, and a thrown bottle creates echoes which could travel downward and it could trigger zombies or other people on the street or in nearby buildings. Option A, fighting the zombie, is not the right answer because this is still too risky. You don't know if there are other zombies nearby or what's behind the zombie, and weapon or not, confrontation when you don't need to is high failure rate unless you're cornered. Option B, going to the side door and hiding, is a valid survival option, but you're now stuck in a closed building with its own unknowns inside. There's also no guarantee that the zombie will ever move on. So this option isn't wrong, but it's also not the best option. And option D, sprinting past, is also risky, because one wrong move and you could get grabbed. You turn a corner and you see another survivor. They're alone and they're sitting on a curb. From your first glance, they don't look injured. What do? Option A, approach slowly and ask if they're headed towards the stadium. Option B, cross to the other side and keep walking without making eye contact. Option C, turn back and take a longer route. Or option D, make brief eye contact and nod, and then keep moving. So the correct answer here is option D, brief eye contact and keep moving. So the reason this is the right answer is because you need to acknowledge this person without becoming a variable. Making eye contact shows your confidence and the nod signals peace. Option B or C, ignoring or avoiding them entirely, could be read as weakness, and option A of approaching them is risky. You don't know their intentions or what they've lost. While climbing a fence, you slice your palm open on exposed metal. It's not deep, but it's bleeding. What do? Option A, cover it quickly with whatever cloth you have. Option B, wash and disinfect it before sealing it up. Option C, ignore it because it's too small to matter. Or option D, wrap it in plastic to keep the blood from dripping. So the correct answer here is option B, clean and disinfect it. So the reason that this is the right answer is because any open wound is potentially an infection point, especially if you're touching surfaces or dead bodies. Every small cut matters in an unsanitary environment, and here you're protecting yourself from both regular and zombie-related infections. You find gasoline and a lighter in an abandoned garage. Do you rig a Molotov cocktail for zombie defense? Option A, yes, because it's an explosive distraction and it destroys the zombie on contact. Option B, yes, but only as a last resort. Option C, no, because fire spreads unpredictably and it draws attention. Or option D, no, it's better saved for sterilizing tools. You're taking shelter in the back room of a corner shop when your route was blocked. It's a small space with one door, no windows, and a zombie has just stumbled in from the front. Inside this room with you are a metal drawer, a kitchen knife, duct tape, and a narrow closet with slatted wooden doors. You have seconds to react. What do? Option A, tape the knife to a broken broom handle and prepare to fight. Option B, hide silently in the closet and hope it passes. Option C, climb onto the metal drawer and prepare to strike from above. Or option D, make noise to lure the zombie fully in and then try and slip behind it and escape. So the correct answer here is option C, use elevation and timing. So the reason this is the right answer is because standing on the drawer gives you both height, force, and also angle to strike the zombie. As established before, these zombies are slow moving, so if you wait for it to enter and then drive a downward strike where it counts, this is probably your best bet. Option A, making the DIY spear, is not a good idea because makeshift spears often are not going to hold up in real pressure. A taped knife is unstable, and if you have one shot to pierce its skull, it's most likely not going to come from a very panicked jab. Option B, hiding in the closet, is normally a good idea, but again, this closet has slatted doors and the room is too small. If the zombie even hears a breath or brushes against the door, you're trapped inside with no escape. And option D, luring the zombie in and slipping past, could work in a bigger space, but not here. As mentioned, it's a small room and you can't circle one in a small room and you have no idea what's waiting outside. So you've just successfully fought the zombie off at close range. You're unbitten, but it's blood splattered on your mouth and your hands. What do you do first? Option A, wipe yourself down with a towel or cloth. Option B, rinse with soap and water immediately. Option C, disinfect your skin with hand sanitizer. Or option D, wait and see if symptoms appear. So the correct answer here is option B, rinse with soap and water. The reason this is the right answer is because if the virus spreads through blood, then you have to treat it like a biohazard. Soap and water removes infectious material better than alcohol. And sanitizer can't neutralize any contamination in the eyes or the mouth. Speed matters here, so waiting to see if symptoms appear is also a terrible idea. So by this point, all of your clean water is gone. You find a puddle of murky water next to a corpse that's clearly been mauled by zombies. What do? Option A, boil the water, because heat kills everything. Option B, filter the water with cloth and then boil it. Option C, avoid it unless you have proper filtration. Or option D, dilute it with cleaner water and hope it's safe. So the correct answer here is option C, avoid it without proper filtration. So the reason this is the right answer is because while boiling is effective against bacteria, it's not effective against all viral agents or chemical contaminants. And you don't know enough about zombie blood to know if it contains persistent infection particles. Option B, filtering with the cloth and then boiling, is also a bad idea because filtering only removes debris but not pathogens. You're inside a store with broken glass on the floor. A group of 4 zombies wanders in from a side entrance. They haven't noticed you yet, and you're crouched behind the checkout counter. What do? Option A, crawl quietly against the back wall to the emergency exit. Option B, stay completely still until they pass, even if it takes hours. Option C, throw a metal object to the far corner and sneak out the front. Or option D, try and separate one from the group and take it down. So the correct answer here is option C, use noise tactically. The reason this is the right answer is because zombies react to sound, and you don't want them investigating your section of the store. Throwing an object quietly obviously creates false noise distraction, and it also gives you a chance to exit. Option B, waiting, was a valid answer, but it's a gamble on your time. And option A is a bad idea because if you can remember from the scenario, there's glass on the floor, and crawling on glass is just risk. Option D, engaging one, is dumb. You should probably know that by now. You should always avoid confrontation if possible, and remember there's a group of zombies. Other ones will hear. So you continue making your way to the stadium. You're almost there. When you're 2 blocks away from your destination, you realize that someone is quietly following you at a distance. They haven't called out yet. What do you do? Option A, call them out and ask them to identify themselves. Option B, pick up your pace, make several turns to test if they're tracking you. Option C, stop abruptly and wait for them to catch up so you can confront them. Or option D, turn around and start walking towards them to intimidate them. So the correct answer is option B, change your pace and test if they're following you. The reason this is the right answer is because if someone's following you silently, you should never confront them directly. Change your pace and take sharp turns, and if they match you, it's deliberate. Once you establish they are in fact following you, then you can break the line of sight and change direction. Talking to them or walking towards them gives them control, and you need options here that minimize risk. So you've just changed pace and you've made several sharp turns, and they match every move. So now you know they're deliberately following you. You're still 2 blocks away from your destination. What do you do? Option A, duck into a building, break the line of sight, and then exit via a back route. Option B, run the final 2 blocks to lose them and reach the evacuation point as fast as you can. Option C, hide in a shadowed spot and ambush them when they pass. Or option D, shout at them that you know they're following and threaten them to back off. So the right answer here is option A, break the line of sight and exit from another route. So the reason this is the right answer is because breaking the line of sight is power here. Once this person can't see you, you regain tactical control of the situation. Entering a building also gives you many alternate exits, angles, and barriers. And most people that are following you don't expect sudden lateral movement. Most likely, they're watching you for forward momentum. And if you break the line of sight, you now have options to either double back, wait it out, or have a more controlled confrontation on your own terms. Option B, running to the evacuation point, is a bad idea because it shows desperation. And more importantly, you're going to lead them to your only safe haven and potentially compromise it. Option C, ambushing them, is also a bad idea because even if you win, you risk injury or noise. And you don't know anything about this person, so it's very unlikely that you're going to control the fight. Option D, threatening them out loud, is also a bad idea because aggressive posturing only works if you have leverage in the situation. Otherwise, you're escalating a situation where that person might feel cornered or it provokes violence. So you've successfully evaded this person and you're now 1 block away from the evacuation zone. A lone zombie is blocking the gate entrance. It's slow, but it's fully alert and squarely in your path. You have a crowbar, a flashlight, a water bottle, and a cracked riot shield that you found earlier. What do you do? Option A, use the riot shield to push it aside and run past. Option B, blind the zombie with a flashlight and strike it over the head with a crowbar. Option C, wait for another person to draw its attention and then move. Or option D, throw your water bottle to the far side of the street and then rush through. So the correct answer here is option A, push through with the shield. So the reason this is the right answer is because bypassing is always smarter if you have the option, and here disabling the zombie is not necessary. A riot shield gives you both force and direction. Option B, fighting the zombie, again risks too much noise and injury, and you're this close to the destination. Combat is unnecessary here if you have the option to redirect and move on. For your best chance of survival, you should always avoid fights unless they're absolutely required. Option C, waiting it out, and option D, throwing the bottle, are not good because the zombie's already seen you, so it's unlikely that waiting it out or distracting it will be very effective. So you successfully bypass the zombie and you finally arrive at the evacuation site. It's surrounded by high fencing, guards, and you can see a panicked looking crowd nearby. You accidentally dropped your crowbar during the encounter earlier, and so now you're unarmed. What's the most strategic way to approach? Option A, push through the crowd because urgency signals that you need help. Option B, wait nearby and watch how the guards treat incoming people. Option C, call out from a distance and raise your arms. Or option D, walk directly to the guards, show your hands, and stay silent. So the correct answer here is option B, observe before approaching. So the reason this is the right answer is because evacuation zones are often unstable. You don't know if the guards are armed or overwhelmed. Option A, pushing in, could get you mistaken for a threat, and option C draws attention to you, again without you having further context. Option D, walking up silently, can also be seen as evasive or again potentially confrontational. The safest thing to do is still to watch protocol and then mimic it calmly. So that wraps up the last of the questions, and hopefully you made it. So count up how many of the answers you got correct. You should now have a score out of 28. So now I'll tell you what your score means and whether or not you would have survived the zombie apocalypse. So if you scored between 26 and 28, you would have survived. You're calm under pressure, you're tactically sharp, you're rare, and you're adaptable. Most likely, you would have lasted months into this outbreak, maybe even years. And you're the kind of person that other survivors want to follow. If you scored between 22 and 25, then you most likely survived the initial outbreak and you navigated long-term danger pretty well. You made some mistakes here and there, but luckily it was nothing fatal. With a good group, you're likely to survive. If you scored between 17 and 21, you'd likely scrape through the first wave, but stumble very often. You probably wasted unnecessary energy and you took unnecessary shortcuts. Survival for you is possible, but you'd need luck and good alliances. If you score between 12 and 16, your chances are unlikely. You're likely a liability to your group, you burn through supplies, you draw noise, and you probably also injure yourself. Unfortunately for you, surviving past the first few weeks is unlikely. And finally, if you got 0 to 11, then you're a casualty on day 1. You probably wouldn't make it through 24 hours, maybe not even the first hour. Most likely, you'll be one of the first bitten and also first remembered in the what not to do in survival briefings. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is a bit of a different video from you, so comment below if you liked these. If you'd like to check out some of my other videos, then you can subscribe, or you can check out some of these playlists, or check out this video that YouTube thinks you should watch next.